The new horizon shuddered violently as it broke through Vespera's atmosphere. Dr. Elena Reyes gripped the control panel, her pulse racing. The ship's intercom crackled and she heard the voice of Captain Mark Jenkins behind her, cutting through the tension. "Everyone, hold on. We're in for a rough landing." Elena exchanged a nervous glance with her co-pilot, Julia Chin. Julia's fingers danced across the console, her expression focused. She turned her head slightly, her hair tumbling over her forehead. "Is the stabilizer active?" Elena asked, her voice steady despite the turmoil outside. "Trying to engage it now," Julia replied, her brow furrowed in concentration. A warning light flashed and she muttered under her breath. Come on, come on." The ship jolted again and Elena braced herself. Heart pounding, she caught a glimpse of the alien landscape below, a sea of blues and greens contrasting sharply against the dark backdrop of space. 10 seconds to touchdown. Mark's voice roared in the cabin. Elena felt the ship tilt and her thoughts raced. They had spent years waiting for this moment. After Earth became nearly uninhabitable, the search for a new world had become humanity's sole purpose. "Ready for impact," Mark shouted, his hands clenched on the controls. The ship slammed down on the surface, a cacophony of metal and noise, before coming to an abrupt stop. The crew exchanged looks of disbelief, a mixture of relief and confusion. "Status check," Mark ordered, eyes sharp. "Systems are green. Minor damage to the hull," Julia reported, releasing a shaky breath. Elena felt a rush of excitement. "We made it. We're really here." "All right, team," Mark said, his voice stronger now. "Let's make sure everyone's all right. Then we suit up for an exterior assessment." As they all unstrapped themselves, Elena turned to Mark. "I want to get a close look at that flora we spotted on the way down. This place is unlike anything I've ever seen." Mark smiled, a hint of admiration in his eyes. "Staying on track, good call, document. But we stick together." "That's the plan," she agreed, her mind already racing with ideas of the alien life that might await them. They gathered their gear and stepped outside. The air was thick, pulsating with life. A soft breeze wrapped around them, carrying a sweet, earthy scent. "Wow," Julia gasped, adjusting her helmet as she surveyed the landscape. "This place feels alive. Look over there." Mark pointed toward a cluster of plants about 20 feet away. The vibrant blues and purples shimmered under the alien sun. "Elena, take notes." On it, she moved forward, her heart racing with anticipation. As she examined the flora, she heard footsteps behind her. "Careful there, might be dangerous," came the voice of Eric, a tall engineer with a penchant for sarcasm. "Thanks, Eric. I'll keep that in mind," she said, rolling her eyes but smiling. "You're not the only one with a degree in plants, you know." "Sure, but I'm also the one who can build things," he replied, crossing his arms with a smirk. "And yet, you can barely keep a cactus alive," Julia chimed in, laughing lightly. "Cacti are overrated. You need a bit of variety," Eric exclaimed, pretending to be offended. Elena shook her head with amusement, her excitement momentarily overriding the banter. "This place has potential. I can feel it." "Just keep an eye out for danger," Mark said, his tone shifting. "Remember, we don't know what's out here." "Understood, Captain. But I think we're safe for now," Elena replied, running her fingers over a delicate, shimmering flower that seemed to hum at her touch. "Go easy on that one," Eric warned. "Could be a neurotoxin. Let me examine it properly before we start fearing for our lives," she shot back, though she appreciated his caution. As she meticulously recorded her observations, the crew set up a base camp nearby. Mark helped Eric extend the satellite dish for communication while Julia prepared equipment for soil samples. Elena's focus narrowed on the flowers, her heart racing. A sudden movement caught her eye. She glanced up to see a small creature darting between the plants, its vibrant, multicolored body ablur. "Did you see that?" she exclaimed, pushing her excitement aside. "What?" Mark asked, looking over. "Something just zipped past the flora. I think it's a life form." "Let's try not to startle it," Julia cautioned. "We don't need to scare away any potential discoveries right now." "Good idea," Mark agreed. "Elena, you might want to back off and let it come to you." Taking their advice, Elena remained still. Moments later, the little creature emerged cautiously, a small, insect-like being with shining, delicate wings. It hovered near one of the flowers, its multifaceted eyes reflecting the sunlight. "It's beautiful," she whispered. The creature flitted back and forth, its wings humming softly. "Think it will start talking to us next?" Eric teased, but his own curiosity was evident as he leaned in closer. "Maybe it can teach us about this place," Julia added, stepping back to give Elena some space. Elena felt a rush of wonder. "We could learn so much from all of this." "True, but let's not forget about our own survival, too. We need to set up the perimeter and look for fresh water," Mark replied, his demeanor shifting back to leadership. Agreed, Elena said reluctantly, watching the creature dart away. But let's take our time with this. It's not every day we find a new world. With Mark leading the charge, they began to lay the foundation for their new home. Each team member contributed, blending their skills together. Elena looked at her companions, dedicated, driven, and hopeful. Under the glow of the alien sun, she felt a surge of camaraderie and purpose. They were not only survivors of Earth but pioneers of something extraordinary, ready to shape this uninhabitable land into a place they could finally call home. Chapter 2. The Unexpected Encounter. The morning sun bathed the alien landscape in vibrant colors, waking the crew of the New Horizon. Elena awoke in her bunk, a mix of excitement and anticipation swirling in her mind. She slipped out of her sleeping bag and pulled on her gear. Today, she wanted to explore the area beyond the base camp. "Did you sleep at all?" came a voice from the door. It was Eric, running a hand through his messy hair. "You've been up early. Planning on becoming a botanist or something?" "Hardly," Elena replied, grinning. "Just can't stop thinking about the life here. I want to see what else this planet has to offer. Good luck getting the others to join you." "They're still half asleep," he chuckled. "Not everyone finds flora as fascinating as you do. I should grab some breakfast then." "Any idea if Julia's up?" she asked, already moving toward the food supplies. Eric shrugged. "Last I saw, she had her face buried in a monitor, going through data from yesterday." "You know her?" "Of course. I'll check on her," Elena replied, fixing a quick meal. As they made their way to the communal area, Elena noticed Mark sitting alone, gazing out into the distance. His expression was serious, unlike the usual lighthearted banter he shared with the crew. "Elena, Eric," Mark acknowledged, turning toward them. "I know there's a lot to explore, but we need to plan our scouting missions carefully. This planet is still unpredictable." "Understood, Captain," Elena answered as she settled down next to him. "But I think we could benefit from some immediate exploration. We can keep the scouting in zones?" "What kind of zones?" Eric asked, leaning in. "Maybe designate areas to monitor flora, fauna, and resources separately," Elena suggested. "It'll allow us to gather more information without overwhelming ourselves." Mark considered her proposition for a moment. "That makes sense. But we need to have a solid backup plan if something goes wrong. After all, we're not exactly alone here. Right? Safety first. We'll stick together at all times, right, Elena?" Eric said, grinning. "Of course," she nodded. Just then, Julia walked in, her hair a wild mess from sleep. "What's the plan today, folks?" "I'm ready to map out some new territories if you are. We were just discussing exploring in zones." "I say we keep the team together for safety," Mark replied, meeting her concerned gaze. "Definitely. But we can make zones as we go," Julia chimed in. "I can plot the course while we wander. There's so much potential here." Elena's excitement bubbled. "Let's do it. There's so much we can learn." After a quick breakfast, the team gathered their supplies, ready for the day's adventures. The chatter among the group faded as they stepped outside, replaced by the soothing sounds of the alien world. "Remember, stay close and communicate any irregularities," Mark reminded them before they set off. As they walked through the enchanting landscape, Elena pointed out various plants, their vivid colors contrasting beautifully against the azure sky. "Look at this one," she exclaimed, bending down to examine a textured leaf. "It's unlike anything on Earth." Eric knelt beside her, inspecting the plant closely. "What do you think it does? Are you going to take a sample?" "I should," Elena said, pulling out her sampling gear and carefully extracting a small portion of the leaf. "I'll analyze it later." Just as they moved on, something caught Julia's eye. "Wait, what's that?" She pointed toward a shimmering structure in the distance, half hidden between the foliage. "Let's check it out," Mark said, his curiosity piqued. They approached cautiously, revealing an enormous, translucent structure composed of what looked like crystals. It glinted like sunlight on water, casting mesmerizing reflections across the ground. "This is incredible," Elena whispered, captivated. "Wonder how structurally sound it is," Eric mused, sliding a hand along the surface. "Can't believe something like this is here. What do you think it was used for?" Julia asked curiously. "Some sort of building?" Mark suggested, glancing around. "But by whom?" "Whatever it was, it's been here for a long time," Elena observed, her mind racing with possibilities. "We need to gather data." Suddenly, a soft rustle echoed behind them. They all froze, instinctively turning toward the sound. "Who's there?" Mark called out, voice steady yet firm. A figure emerged from the brush, a tall, graceful being with shimmering skin that reflected the colors of its surroundings. Elena's breath caught in her throat. This alien looked ethereal, with long, flowing hair that appeared almost liquid. "Everyone stay calm," Mark instructed, taking a protective step forward. Elena's heart raced, but something about the being felt gentle as if it meant no harm. It stepped closer, its eyes, an enchanting shade of violet, fixed intently on her. "Hello," the alien spoke softly, its voice melodic and soothing. "I mean no harm." Elena blinked in surprise, feeling an immediate connection. "You can understand us?" "I have watched you," the alien replied, tilting its head slightly. "You are different from those that came before." "Who are you?" Julia asked, her voice steady despite her amazement. "I am Selari. This land is home to me and my people," the alien responded, gliding forward gracefully, drawn to their presence. Mark dropped his defensive stance slightly. "Your people? Are they near?" Selari nodded. "We live in harmony with the land, just as you wish." "How do we know we can trust you?" Eric questioned, his skepticism lingering. Selari's eyes glimmered with a hint of sadness. "Trust must be built. I am not here to harm." Elena took a step forward, compelled. "We come in peace. We want to learn, to understand. We're not your enemies." Selari studied her, and Elena felt a deep sense of connection. Something transcendent. "Then let us learn from one another." "Elena," Mark said quietly, shooting her a cautious glance. "Can we really trust this?" "We have to try," Elena whispered back, hope igniting in her chest. Selari slowly reached out a delicate hand, and Elena met it halfway. Their fingers brushed, a spark igniting between them. It was electric, urging Elena to step closer. "We can show you our ways if you wish," Selari offered, a soft smile lighting up its face. "Let's explore together," Elena suggested, excitement bubbling over. "You can tell us what the plants do, how they thrive here." "Agreed," Mark replied, his apprehension slowly fading. "Let's get to know each other, but we'll stick together." As Selari led them deeper into the vibrant landscape, Elena felt a mix of joy and trepidation. She was forging a connection that could bridge two worlds, and everything was about to change. Chapter 3: Building Bridges. The sun hung high in Vespera's sky, casting shimmering patterns onto the forest floor as Elena, Mark, Julia, Eric, and Selari ventured deeper into the alien landscape. Elena felt a giddy excitement coursing through her as Selari led them toward a grove of towering, luminescent trees. "Behold," Selari said with a graceful wave of her hand. "These are the Vespiri, ancient guardians of this land." "They're beautiful," Julia breathed, her eyes wide as she examined the trees with their glowing leaves. "What do they do?" Selari smiled. "They clean the air. The leaves absorb toxins and release purified oxygen. We rely on them for our survival." "Kind of like Earth's trees," Eric remarked, glancing at Elena. "But way cooler." "Exactly," Selari nodded. "They have adapted to the environment here over countless cycles." Elena stepped closer to a tree, gently touching its trunk. "Do you have a way to cultivate them?" Selari tilted her head. "We respect their growth and let nature guide us. We take only what we need." "Sounds like a balanced approach," Mark said, observing closely. "We could learn a thing or two about sustainability." "Is your team interested in the flora?" Selari asked. "I can show you more." "We'd love that," Elena replied, her enthusiasm unabated. "Lead the way." As they explored, Selari shared stories about the various plants. "This one," she pointed to a bright orange flower, "is known for its healing properties. It can soothe pain and treat infections." Julia scribbled notes on her tablet. "Amazing! We have so much to learn." They moved deeper into the grove. Eric plucked a brightly colored fruit hanging low from a branch. "What about this one?" he asked, half teasing but genuinely curious. Selari's eyes lit up. "Ah, the farron fruit. It's rich in nourishment but can also cause a mild intoxication if consumed in excess. Sounds like something we wouldn't want to eat too much of," he chuckled, slipping it into his pack as they continued. "Careful there," Mark warned, mismatching Eric's lightheartedness. "Food safety is no joke. We can't afford any mishaps." Selari nodded at Mark's seriousness. "Your caution is wise. We have our own tales of the perils of overindulgence." As they traversed the forest, Elena found herself growing closer to Selari. Every moment spent together felt natural. The aliens' way of understanding and embracing their surroundings captivated her. She knew their worlds were different, yet they were building a connection that transcended such distinctions. Cellari, Elena asked as they walked, what do your people value most? Connection, Cellari replied thoughtfully, glancing at Elena. With each other, with nature, and with the stars. That's beautiful, Elena said, feeling a warmth blossom in her chest. Speaking of connections, Eric interrupted, how do your people communicate? Is it just verbal? Cellari paused, considering. We share emotions through our expressions and subtle movements. Words are just a part of our language. Interesting, Julia mused. So, you can sense each other's feelings. Yes, it is an integral part of understanding one another, Cellari affirmed, her voice soft. I wish we could do that, Eric said playfully. It would make dealings with bureaucrats so much easier. Maybe you'd get kicked out of meetings instead, Mark joked, eliciting laughter from the group. As they wandered, they stumbled upon an expansive meadow filled with various plants and crystals sparkling in the sunlight. Wow, this is incredible, Julia exclaimed, taking it all in. Charting this place will take forever. We'll need to map the different flora. Cellari nodded sagely. I can help you. My people know every inch of this land. We will teach you. Elena could see the excitement in her team's eyes. They were beginning to grasp the depth of Vespera's ecosystems. That would be amazing, Cellari. Together we can learn and grow. Together, Cellari echoed, her voice full of warmth. Mark, who had been silently observing, broke in. How do we ensure our discoveries benefit both our groups? We need to establish mutual respect. Trust is essential, Cellari replied with sincerity. Each new piece of knowledge can be shared, a bridge built one step at a time. Let's start that journey, Elena suggested, feeling invigorated. We can each take turns sharing our cultures. Perhaps you can show us how you live and we can share our own history. An excellent idea, Mark said, nodding. It'll help us forge a bond beyond mere survival. Then we will begin tonight, Cellari proposed. A gathering under the stars. Count me in. Eric chimed in. Sounds like a party. More like a cultural exchange, Mark corrected, though a smile crept onto his face. As the group explored further, Elena felt a sense of belonging merge with her interest in Cellari. They were not just mapping flora, they were stepping into a new world together. Can I ask you something? Elena said, feeling bold with the light-hearted atmosphere. What's the most endearing quality among your people? Cellari paused, thoughtful. We value the joy found in shared moments. A simple meal can become a celebration. Do you have family traditions? Elena pressed, captivated. Many, Cellari replied, her violet eyes sparkling. Every year, we honor the cycle of rebirth with a festival. It celebrates the bond we have with the land and each other. That sounds wonderful, Julia remarked. Do you celebrate with food? Songs? Music, dance, laughter, and especially food, Cellari confirmed, her excitement palpable. Now I really want to see this festival, Eric said jovially. As do I, Elena smiled, her heart feeling lighter. Suddenly, a sharp sound echoed through the trees, crunching leaves and breaking branches. Did you hear that? Mark asked sharply, taking a protective stance. Cellari's expression shifted to caution. Stay close. It may be an animal, one that doesn't often show itself. We're prepared, right? We've got our gear, Julia said, looking at the group for reassurance. As the noise grew louder, the team clustered together, their eyes scanning the area. Mark whispered, we should move back toward the camp. Better safe than sorry. Elena felt a twinge of fear, but Cellari stepped forward, eyes keen. There's no need for alarm. Allow me to show you. With swift grace, she advanced toward the sound and the team instinctively followed. As they broke through the foliage, they encountered a massive, majestic creature, a four-legged being with glimmering scales and soft, curious eyes. Is that an animal or a sentient being? Julia whispered, captivated. It's a Yaris. Is a threat, Cellari said, her smile returning. Tentatively, Elena reached out a hand. The Yaris leaned in, brushing its snout against her palm, sending a rush of warmth through her. This is just incredible, Elena murmured. Exactly, Cellari replied, an affectionate light in her eyes. These moments strengthen our connections. It's how we learn to coexist. As they stood, captivated by the creature before them, Elena felt a larger bond forming. One that went beyond words, rooted in understanding and shared experience. Let's prepare for tonight, Mark suggested, glancing at the sun beginning to set. We'll share our stories and gather around. With renewed energy and purpose, the group began their trek back to the camp, stepping into a new chapter of their journey, filled with potential and companionship. Chapter 4, The Choice. As dusk settled over Vespera, the air crackled with an electric charge. The crew of the New Horizon busied themselves around the central fire pit they had constructed, gathering branches and leaves to provide warmth. Elena felt an energy coursing through her as she prepared to share her culture with Celery and the rest of her team. Mark was stacking stones to create seating around the fire. "We'll need to find some local food to go along with our stories," he called out, glancing at Eric. "Can you help with that? Are you asking me to forage for dinner?" Eric replied playfully. "Don't you remember what happened with the Farron fruit?" "That was one fruit," Mark said, smirking. "Besides, you said it was good for partying." "Yeah, until you passed out in the bushes," Julia chimed in, laughing as she joined them. "I was just testing its effects," Eric protested dramatically, placing a hand over his heart. Sure, Julia chuckled. "Just don't test anything dangerous this time. All right?" Elena took this moment to approach Celery, who was gracefully preparing some form of alien dish with local ingredients. "What are you making?" she asked curiously, kneeling beside her. "It's called Elviani," Celery explained, combining colorful roots and vibrant greens. "It's nourishing and energizing. Help me here." Elena eagerly joined her, revealing the wonders of alien cooking. "We often share homemade dishes back on Earth. My grandmother made the best paella." "Paella?" Celery tilted her head. "What is it made of?" "Rice, seafood, vegetables. A pot full of flavors." Elena's eyes sparkled. "I can teach you if you'd like." "I would love that," Celery replied, mimicking Elena's gestures with her own unique finesse. "Your traditions intrigue me. Let's share more than just food," Elena suggested. "Tonight, we could also talk about our families and histories." "That sounds wonderful," Celery agreed, a smile lighting up her face. Mirrors reflect cultures back to each other. Elena felt a warmth spreading through her chest. Celery's perspective fascinated her. Just then, Mark called out, "All right, everyone, grab your seats. It's almost time to begin." As they settled around the fire, the flames crackled gently, illuminating eager faces. Mark gestured to Celery. "Would you like to start?" "Yes," Celery smiled, standing gracefully. "Long ago, our land was rich and bountiful. We lived with the Vespiri and learned from them. We respect balance, taking only what we need in return for caring for the land." Elena leaned forward, captivated. "What does your community look like?" Celery's expression shifted to nostalgia. "We gather under the stars, sharing songs and stories. Each family has its crafts, passed down through generations. Creation is our lifeblood." "Sounds amazing," Julia said, her eyes shining. "How do your people express emotions?" "You mentioned sharing those earlier." Celery's gaze fell to the fire, contemplating. "Through dance, movement, and song. Our voices harmonize with nature's pulse, echoing our feelings." "Dance? That's something we can connect on," Eric interjected, a mischievous glint in his eyes. "I challenge you to teach us some moves." "Dance? Count me in," Mark said, grinning ear to ear. "Just remember, I have 2 left feet," Julia quipped, laughing. Celery watched them all with delight. "You will learn. Together, we create a connection between our worlds." Speaking of connections, Elena began, feeling a sense of purpose. "Let's share our histories. I'll go first." With a deep breath, she launched into her story. "I grew up in a small town on Earth, surrounded by nature. My parents instilled in me the value of exploration. We often went hiking, camping, and discovering new trails." "That sounds beautiful," Celery said, genuinely intrigued. Elena smiled, encouraged. "One of my fondest memories is of my grandmother cooking with me. She'd share stories of our family from long ago. That's where I learned to appreciate traditions." "What about you, Julia?" Mark prompted, turning the spotlight onto her. "All right," she said, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "I've always been curious about the universe. I studied geology and spent my childhood building miniature models of planets. Helping bring those dreams to life motivated me." "Those models must have been epic," Eric said, grinning. "Honestly, they were pretty terrible," Julia laughed, rolling her eyes. "But it showed me that no dream is too big." "Good message," Mark affirmed. "Your turn, Eric." "Okay, brace yourselves," Eric began theatrically. "I grew up in the shadow of a giant factory. The first thing I learned was how to fix things. I felt like if something was broken, I could fix it, just like in my life." "Sounds like a motivational poster," Julia teased, elbowing him playfully. "Hey, I'm seriously contributing here," Eric laughed, feigning injury. "But I always had a knack for tinkering. It helped me find paths I didn't even know existed." Mark smiled, his gaze shifting to Cellari. And now, our new friend. What's your story? Cellari took a moment, her face lighting up with the memories. We were once scattered, finding our place. But unity transformed us. We connected with the land and each other. Like an orchestra, each respective sound contributing to a complete melody. Elena leaned in. What was the catalyst for that shift? A difficult season, Cellari explained, her voice softening. The balance was broken. Our people faced hardship. But together, we learned to listen to the land and each other. The important lesson was that we are stronger together. Sounds like a universal lesson, Mark said thoughtfully. Go forward together, find strength in numbers. Cellari nodded, eyes sparkling. Yes, and now we carry it forward. The conversation paused as the fire flickered and Elena felt a growing connection with Cellari. There was something deeply enriching about their exchanges, a bridging of understanding. Does this mean we're officially friends? Eric asked, breaking the silence. Friends, Cellari echoed, smiling warmly at each of them. I like the sound of that, Elena added, her heart swelling. As their stories settled into the night, the stars began to twinkle above. Mark pointed toward the sky. Look at all those stars. It reminds me of home, but somehow different. It feels like we're part of something vast. That's the beauty of exploration, Julia said, her eyes reflecting the stars. Every discovery leads to greater understanding. Cellari looked up in awe. It's breathtaking. In our gatherings, we tell stories of the constellations above. They guide our paths. Can you teach us those stories? Elena asked, imagining the rich imagery. I can certainly try, Cellari said. They are woven with our history and connection. Then let's make it a tradition, Mark proposed. Every week, we gather in the same spot and share stories or even dance. Count me in. Eric cheered, throwing his fists in the air. As the laughter rang out, they all felt the weight of fear dissipate, replaced by the warmth of camaraderie. Vespera truly began to feel like home, a place where even different worlds could find commonality. The mantle of the stars glimmered above them, anchoring together the beginnings of a new journey. The fire crackled, life pulsating around them as they forged the bonds of friendship, trust, and understanding, bridging two worlds into one shared future. Chapter 5, A New Dawn. As the golden rays of the sun pierced through the lush canopy, Elena awoke with a sense of anticipation. Today would be different. Today marked the beginning of their collaborative journey with Cellari and the inhabitants of Vespera. Morning, sunshine, Eric teased, peeking into Elena's bunk. Ready to face the day? More like ready to eat breakfast, she replied, smirking as she climbed out of her sleeping bag. Did you save any of that, Elviani? Please, I left you the best bits, he said, grabbing the last few remnants of the previous night's feast. Gotta fuel up for today's adventure. As they sat around the fire pit, their little makeshift kitchen, Mark led the group in discussing the day's plans. All right, team, we're going to break into groups. I want to map the areas Cellari showed us yesterday. Julia, you and I will take the eastern side of the grove. Eric, you and Elena will head towards the stream and gather more samples. And Cellari, if you could guide them, it would be appreciated. I'll make sure they don't wander off too far, Cellari promised, her eyes sparkling in the morning light. Great. Let's get to it then. Mark clapped his hands together, a look of determination crossing his face. Everybody prepared? Ready as I'll ever be, Elena replied, excitement bubbling within her. I've got my sampling kit and notes. Let's go. Eric said, already standing up, his energy infectious. As they made their way through the vibrant landscape, Elena marveled at how their team moved together, complementing one another. She felt invigorated by her connection to Cellari, who walked beside her. So, Cellari, what else should we look for today? Elena asked. There are many plants by the water that have unique properties, Cellari explained, her voice light and melodic. And some may even react to human touch differently. Reactions? Interesting. Are they safe? Elena inquired, her curiosity piqued. Depends on the plant, Cellari smiled. Some help us heal, others can induce temporary euphoria. Just be cautious and I will guide you. This place just keeps getting better, Eric chimed in. We're going to return with the best samples to show the others. I'll help you gather samples too, Cellari offered, her eyes glimmering. As they approached the stream, the air grew cooler, the gentle sound of water harmonizing with the atmosphere around them. Elena knelt by the bank and dipped her fingers in, the sensation refreshing. Looks like a good spot, Eric said, setting his sampling kit down. Let's get to work. Cellari pointed to a cluster of plants near the water, their leaves shimmering with dew. These are called veil. They have soothing properties and can help with sleep, she explained. Elena eagerly knelt by the plant, scanning it carefully. Perfect. I've read about similar plants on Earth. It's fascinating how nature can adapt. Exactly, Cellari agreed, kneeling beside Elena. Our plants have evolved differently. They share the land's spirit. Do all of your plants have stories? Eric asked, fascinated. Indeed, Cellari said, nodding earnestly. Every plant has a life and a tale. They remember. Okay, so what's the story of the veil? Elena challenged playfully, her curiosity growing. Cellari's expression shifted into one of reverence. The veil were blessed by our ancestors. They were told that if cared for, they would bring peace to restless minds. That's beautiful, Elena said softly, feeling the weight of the tradition. I'd love to experience that. With Cellari guiding them, they began collecting samples. Elena's heart raced at each tiny discovery, eager to learn more. I'll make a comparison chart later so we can see how these plants might benefit us back at home. Smart thinking, Eric encouraged. We're going to have a treasure trove of findings. After an hour of collecting samples and stories, they moved downstream. Here, I want to show you the Alethea. They grow near the waters and respond to sound, Cellari said, gesturing toward clusters of purple flowers swaying gently in the breeze. Elena raised an eyebrow. Respond to sound? How? Cellari smiled knowingly before cupping her hands around her mouth and producing a gentle hum. Almost immediately, the Alethea began to sway in harmony with her voice. Whoa! Eric exclaimed, stepping back. No way! They're dancing! Exactly! Cellari beamed. Their movement is an invitation. Elena couldn't contain her laughter. Can I try? She asked, anticipation bubbling inside her. Cellari nodded, stepping aside. Elena took a deep breath, closing her eyes, and hummed a soft melody. The Alethea responded, swaying and bobbing, creating a surreal dance. That's incredible, Elena! Eric cheered, clapping as the flowers moved to her voice. Do you think they'll like Bohemian Rhapsody? She joked, laughing along with Eric. Cellari tilted her head, amused. I can teach you local melodies if you wish. Elena's heart swooped at the offer. I'd love that. I think these plants would appreciate all kinds of music. Just then, Eric noticed a movement in the underbrush behind them. Guys? What's that? A shadow shifted and Cellari quickly turned. Stay close, she warned, her posture becoming alert. Mark and Julia appeared from the trees, their faces curious. We heard the music and followed it, Mark explained, an amused smile on his face. What's going on? Cellari showed us some plants that respond to sound. Elena exclaimed, excitement still in her voice. It's amazing. Julia's eyes widened. Can I try? Definitely. Elena replied, stepping back as Julia approached. Julia produced a gentle tune and the Alethea danced in response. Laughter filled the air as they continued shifting and swaying around the flowers. Who knew we were entering a plant rave? Mark joked, crossing his arms with a grin. This place keeps getting weirder and weirder. As the group shared the experience, the atmosphere felt electric, a rush of laughter and connection binding them together. This was no longer just about survival, it was about forging bonds, exploring possibilities, and understanding one another. I wish everyone back at the base camp could experience this, Julia said, breathing in the spirit of the day. We need to bring these moments back to them. Agreed, Mark nodded. We have tales to tell, songs to share, and incredible discoveries waiting for us. We need to create an archive, Elena suggested, her eyes lighting up. We could document everything, our samples, the stories, the music, everything we've learned from Cellari. I can help with the document, Eric volunteered. We'll need to be thorough, a proper exploration log. Together, we can blend our methods, Cellari proposed, her face glowing with enthusiasm. A new language of understanding. I'm all for it, Mark said, crossing his arms with a satisfied grin. As they took a moment to appreciate the harmony they'd created, the journey ahead felt infinite. The connections they were building reached far beyond the initial goal, they were sculpting a shared destiny. Knowledge and experiences intertwined, paving the way for the future. Let's get to work then, Mark declared, his eyes glinting with ambition. We've got a lot to learn and share. With renewed energy, the team settled in at the stream's bank, ready to document their findings and build the foundation of a meaningful collaboration between their worlds. As Elena looked at Cellari, she felt an immense gratitude for this chance encounter. They had opened the door to possibilities that transcended everything they'd known, lighting a path for friendship and discovery. The dawn of a new life glimmered before them, each moment rich with promise and potential. Together, they would face whatever challenges Vespera held, unlocking its secrets while cultivating bonds that would last a lifetime.